The data warehouse is an efficient and cost-effective system for organizations to benchmark their capital projects to improve their competitiveness in a global market. Data tells a story, and with more than 2,500 validated capital construction projects, there are many trends and insights that can be uncovered. Members have entrusted CII with their project data for performance assessment analysis since the first benchmarking and metrics program was established in 1995. What differentiates a successful company from all the rest is their ability to gain insight from data. Imagine having a powerful tool at your fingertips that enables you to track and compare your company's performance, analyze historical project data, explore industry benchmarks, and assess the use of best practices. This data-driven approach minimizes risks and empowers your team with the insights they need. The data warehouse is securely hosted by TAC, the Texas Advanced Computing Center. Housed at the University of Texas, TAC is one of the top academic supercomputing facilities in the world. They've developed an advanced toolkit to power benchmarking for CII members. Here are a few highlights. The Data Miner is an exploration tool that reveals industry metric norms from curated project data sets. The Project Performance Assessment Key Report scores and compares each project submitted by an organization against a data set of similar projects. And a powerful new dashboard offers a user-friendly interface for ongoing monitoring and decision-making. Now let's dive into each of them a little deeper. The Data Miner can provide assurance on estimates. Your project data points are plotted on the chart. The Data Miner also supports comparative analysis and offers insights into how different project types, priorities, delivery methods, and more drive different outcomes. Once you've picked the data that you need, simply generate an image that can easily be used for presentation to management. The CII Project Performance Key Report supports easy project analytics comparisons. Directly supporting the mission of benchmarking, the Key Report scores a project's performance and shows how it compares against norms for similar projects, all in fundamental areas such as cost, schedule, quality, safety, and other factors. Members that participate and submit data to CII unlock the new My Dashboard feature. The Data Warehouse Dashboard sheds light on overall portfolio performance, helping stakeholders to monitor crucial information about what's happening in their organization and why. The dashboard offers a visual representation of the projects submitted for analysis, including cost and schedule indicators, breakouts by project types, cost categories, delivery method, the level of best practice adoption in the organization, and measures such as cost per square foot of facility delivered. Sounds like a lot? It is, but CII has developed resources to ensure that your benchmarking journey will lead to tangible improvement. The Benchmarking Associates Guide provides a 10-step process to achieve success. It covers everything from getting started with data submittal to interpretation and setting goals for next steps. In the Benchmarking Associates Guide, you will find that submitting data to CII is easy via the Integration Toolkit. It all starts by filling out a short survey in Excel. CII offers multiple levels of automation. Organizations can then map their project data to CII definitions, making benchmarking with CII as easy as exporting a report. Get started in your performance assessment journey with CII. Members of the Data Warehouse community encourage companies who haven't yet participated to take the 2-project challenge. Just pick 2 recent projects and submit them for analysis. A Project Performance Assessment Key Report will then provide relevant scores and comparisons for every project submitted. Don't stop there. There's another important element of benchmarking, and that's to understand drivers of performance. Many factors contribute to capital efficiency, but one way to ensure project success is to appropriately select and adopt best practices. CII's 17 best practices are proven winners. By taking the new PMO-level Best Practices Survey, organizations can get a macro perspective of their use of CII best practices. With just a few hours of effort, your organization will unlock the power of the Data Warehouse dashboards, and your organization can start to uncover new insights that lead to real improvement. The data warehouse was funded with the generous support of these CII members. CII extends its most sincere gratitude, as without their support, this unique tool for members would not have been possible. On behalf of the federal facility members and the wider data analytics community, we invite your organization to take advantage of the benchmarking services provided by the CII Data Warehouse. It's easy to get started in your performance assessment journey with CII.
Okay, hello everybody. We've got this wonderful time of a whole morning of excellent presentations and lunch in about 10 minutes. So this is the real envious briefing spot right now. Hello again, everybody. I'm Tony Ermovick from the Department of Energy, DOE, Office of Project Management, located in Washington, D.C. I have some very brief comments today, about 5 minutes or so, and followed by my colleague as well. Very good video if you watched it. I think we're going to be posting it online. It really does a great job of explaining the data miner tool that's up and running. And I'm going to talk about why that was important to DOE here in just a minute. A little bit about DOE, because I have to give a little commercial. First of all, I want to say for all you taxpayers out there, I want to appreciate your donation, I quote donation, every April 15th of every year. We really do appreciate that. Keeps my office funded. We are a large top 10 federal agency, about 15,000 federal employees and about 95,000 support contractors. Annual budget's around $48 billion, with approximately 10% of that going to construction. We are definitely more than curly CFL light bulbs and LED light bulbs. A lot of you think that's what DOE does. But we process plutonium for weapons. We process uranium from nuclear submarines and ships. We do scientific research with neutrinos that we shoot from Chicago up to North Dakota underground to develop their scientific properties. We do an R&D in nuclear fusion. We operate and maintain the Strategic Petroleum Reserve in Louisiana and Texas. We clean up waste from the Manhattan Project. Plus, we do R&D for high-efficiency electrical grid systems and green energy. And of course, we do high-efficiency light bulbs as well, too. And yes, many of us have seen the movie Oppenheimer. Those of you have seen it. Anybody raise your hand if you've seen it yet? It's out in the theaters right now. We do enjoy that at DOE, the Los Alamos site, which is where a lot of the nuclear developmental efforts during World War II occurred, and it's a site I've been to many times. So great movie if you haven't seen it yet. On to the subject for today. One of my office's specific missions is to validate our large capital asset projects, and that involves projects over $100 million in total investment costs, to ensure that there's a valid cost and schedule baseline in place. To help do that, we need good, solid, defendable benchmarks to support these cost estimates. Hence, that's where the CII data miner tool and the FFDAR rep, I'll spell that out in a second, tool initiative comes into play. Specifically, got the Venn diagram up here. When we started this effort, we really had, Steve Covey, begin with the end in mind, we really had a specific purpose that we wanted to focus on early on, and that was really benchmarking of light labs and administrative facilities. We do several $100 million of those each year, so we really wanted to have good benchmarking tools to make sure that our estimates were valid. So that's where we started. We're up here on the left. We knew that we weren't going to have a big pool of nuclear processing and uranium processing facilities in this data collection effort, projects that we would be able to benchmark along with others. So we picked somewhere in the Venn diagram where we knew we could get other data from other agencies and other organizations to support coming up with some benchmarking tools. And I will tell you early on, that was our Venn diagram, and we have learned through this effort that there are other metrics and benchmarking tools within the data miner that we are going to be able to use. So it's kind of started with that little Venn diagram up there for benchmarking tools, and it has grown from that. I'm here today also specifically give you a short perspective of DOE's involvement in this data miner, and specifically the FFDAR rep. What does that stand for? Everybody, I'm sure, sitting at the edge of your seats. The Federal Facility Data Analytics Research and Applications Program. There'll be a test later on if you remember that breakout of that acronym. But FFDAR rep really was a federal perspective, federal agency, effort to look at the data mining and the benchmark development, and it's really a subset of the overall CII data miner tool. Our engagement started back in July of 2020, spearheaded by an individual named Walt Inarco from Smithsonian, really the champion of this effort. We signed up longer than a normal RT. This was a 3-year effort. So it was an involvement, and we had to pay some additional funds to support the effort all along the way. But it was 3 years, so this is the culmination. It started in July of 2020, and here we are 3 years later. Definitely in the effort, there was some early storming and conforming kind of efforts, like any kind of broad effort that you engage on, but we eventually got to the norming and performing part, and that was goodness. Locking onto data standards, it was in the video up there, locking onto data standards is hard. All of you out there from different companies and owners, whether you're owners, contractors, you have your own databases, some similarities, but pulling that together into a single data miner tool was a little difficult because everybody spoke a little different language. But eventually, the team came together and came up with an integration toolkit that kind of took that, kind of forced everybody into a standard data collection template, and then we're able to actually use that and feed the data miner tool. So that was really a significant breakthrough in the effort. Overall, the development of the data miner, and specifically the FF-DARWrap tool, was as good as I could have expected. Some challenges, but it was difficult because it was innovative, it was widespread, had a lot of stakeholders, and a significant amount of federal agencies in it. As I said earlier, our specific and planned use of the tool is to use it for benchmarking and perform project estimate validation, not estimating, but validation for our administrative and light lab facilities. Estimate benchmarking is a government accountability office, GAO, we have to comply with them. Cost estimating best practice and helps defend our budget submission, our project submission budgets to Congress and the Office of Management and Budget. This probably correlates to the same for private company budget proposals to owners, project managers, senior leadership, et cetera. So the data miner tool, in closing here, is up and running, and I hope you do come talk to us today. We'll be around the CII main exhibit in the exhibit hall. You saw it in the video. Those weren't made up. Those are real screenshots from the data miner tool. We encourage you all to check it out. Take the training. We'll talk about that in a second, but take the training that's coming up so you can test it, drive it, and see if it's something that works for you. There's a lot of metrics in there that works. Our specific one, I didn't say that earlier, was total investment cost divided by BGCF, building gross square footage. So it was basically a cost per square footage. That was our Venn diagram sweet spot. I do encourage you to take the 2 project and hopefully even more that was mentioned in the video that will keep the database refreshed and current. The system will take pretty much any kind of project that you have, and the CII staff and the data miner staff will be able to help you work through that as necessary. In closing, I'd like to say a big shout out, if you could stand up real quick, Deborah DeGazelle, Robert Wibble, Dr. Vivek Sharma, wherever you may be, and also Dan De Oliveira for their leadership, their patience, that was key, and technical dedication and technical leadership through this 3-year effort. So it was quite a journey. So thank you all. Let's give them a round of applause. And again, I'll turn it over now to my colleague, Ms. Sholeh Lee, and fellow FF-DARWrap team member.
Thank you. I have the distinct pleasure of being in between you all and lunch and prepared 5 minutes of comments that I think I'm supposed to give in a minute, so we'll see if I can speak quickly. As was mentioned, I'm here from the Department of State, oversees buildings operations. I work for the Office of Construction Management, but I'm representing all of OBO as many of our offices work together on this project. We direct the Worldwide Overseas Buildings Program for the U.S. government. We have a vast portfolio overseas. If you want to learn more about it, I just suggest that you Google overseas buildings operations, look up Embassy Effect. There's a great YouTube video that'll give you more about what we do, and I can talk less about that part. Pictured is a rendering of the U.S. Embassy in Doha, Qatar. That's the final state. We're currently under construction there, and with the movie references, I'll also add, if you watch Netflix, you can also see in a high definition color our London embassy project in the show The Diplomat. So getting to the why, and I'll try not to be duplicating what Tony said and just adding to it, because he has already mentioned many important reasons why we participated in some of the benefits, but I'll just talk about very briefly the why, what we saw as some benefits, and what we see in the future. We committed resources to this, time and dollars, and our leadership had to buy in. And why was that? Well, CII is a reputable, credible source outside of ourselves, and we need that as stewards of taxpayer dollars. Also, we need to know how are we doing, and we can measure ourselves, but having this outside source to measure us is really giving us a lot more credibility, and that was our goal. We wanted to measure against other federal facilities and other type of buildings such as hospitals, which we find that are good comparisons to the complexity of the embassies that we build. And CII and the team, which we've said thank you to already, was instrumental in helping us measure our data. I know there's a lot of organizations trying to work with data. We were trying to figure out what data we needed to measure and how to do that, because we generate a lot of data. So some of the benefits, we got this visual tool, which you saw in the video, seeing whether our projects are in this targeted range, and also drilling into, where are our outliers, either on the exceeding schedule and cost outliers, or which ones are doing really well. Comparing against this, we're hoping to do more of this as others participate, and that's really the two-project challenge should be the beginning of the journey with this benchmarking, because once you put in two, you're going to want to put more in, but that's how all of us benefit from the data warehouse. The future is bright. The size of the data warehouse is impressive. CII, again, is dedicated to benchmarking, and I think that's just the beginning here of what we can do and how we can develop this over time. Next steps, there's training in September. Would encourage you all to sign up for that and to visit the booth to talk more with us, as I know we are out of time. But thank you very much for your attention today.